As soon as you say, right, I'm not going to school, or I'm going to avoid speaking in groups, then there's a huge relief. Graded exposure reintroduces the stimulus at their current level, but it's not always that simple. It's not just giving them a get out of jail free card, but it gives them something manageable where they can then face it and have success. So the key thing, and this is throughout all behaviorism, cognitive behavior therapy, is so graded exposure then. So it comes from classical conditioning, and classical conditioning is, like Pavlov's dogs and the pairing of a stimulus and response.
Yeah.
And so when there's been some kind of negative experience or trauma, then there's a pairing that happens with the physiological response, the emotional response, behavioral response, and then your belief system as well. So you create some thoughts and beliefs around what's just happened.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and during that process, then there's fight or flight that happens as well. With the fight or flight, that's where all of this is encoded and stored. So that's the limbic system that gets activated. I'll go into the limbic system a bit more in a bit. So if you think then with any event, so we're talking really around kind of avoidance of, say, school or any kind of trauma, negative experience, anything that creates huge anxiety. So as soon as it does that, then once the person avoids the reminder or the trigger, if that's school, anxiety, anything that creates this high anxiety. So if you were talking in public, or if it was social anxiety, talking in a bigger group of friends. So once there's that trigger and then they can avoid it, there's huge relief that comes. So if you think about what I said before, so if you think about going to school and you don't want to be at school, there's the physiological reaction. So the fight or flight system starts activating, you'll get an emotional reaction, and then you'll get the beliefs activated that this isn't safe, it's a dangerous place. So as soon as you say, right, I'm not going to school, or I'm going to avoid speaking in groups, then there's a huge relief. And when I say huge relief, like all of those systems calm down.
Yeah.
So then that reinforces that the threat is real and they don't learn anything new. They don't face the fears. They just avoid them. So it keeps reinforcing that it's best to keep away from school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. So it sounds like if there's like kind of some stimulus that provokes a kind of negative feeling or reaction, but it's not just the feeling of anxiety, it's all the bodily sensations and everything as well. And then kind of avoiding or removing that stimulus alleviates all of those kinds of things that have built up, and then it has such a big reaction that you kind of like learn that behavior.
Yeah, and then the more you repeat it, the stronger it becomes.
Yeah.
And like as in the fear becomes stronger.
Yeah.
So graded exposure then reintroduces the stimulus, so whatever that fear is, and when I say whatever that is, because it could just be a thought, it could be a word, it could be a memory, but it could be the demand of having to go to school. So it's whatever the stimulus is. As soon as you start to reintroduce that, then obviously the anxiety starts happening. So graded exposure reintroduces all of that at a level where it's easier to harder. Obviously graded is quite a easy word to get your head around, but if you think about it from 0 to 10, so you'd introduce it gradually. So graded exposure or gradual exposure. So graded exposure, it needs to be at their current level. So we would rate it from say 0 to 10, and then we'd ask and check what level can you cope with. So if they're saying like a 3 or 4 I can cope with, then you would do things and expose them to different things that are their level 3 or 4. But it's not always that simple. So 3 or 4 might actually be a 10. So even though we've agreed it on paper, once you get to do it, it can change. So I like to go say, sometimes we might need to start at like 0.1, 0.2. And then that changes things for them, because it's not just giving them a get out of jail free card, as in it helps just reinforce that they're avoiding, but it gives them something manageable where they can then face it and do it and have success. The tricky part is trying to figure out what the 0.2 or 0.1, 0.2 is. But when you work with them, as soon as you get them to do something that's a 3 or 4, it's quite easy to see then that isn't the right level for them. Or it's easy to see that that's going to cause too many difficulties for them.
Yeah.
So when you do that and then change it from, like, say, 3 or 4 and go to a 0.1, 0.2, that helps the relationship massively and it builds trust, and they can then trust you a lot. Plus, you've got to be able to contain them and contain all of that anxiety, because if they're facing the fear, so if we just quickly say one, like facing the fear of spiders or rats or snakes or anything, you're going to feel huge amounts of anxiety and you're not going to want to do it. So as soon as you then work with them and build that trust, and you can contain that anxiety, that fear, that dread, them wanting to not do it, that helps them like trust you even more, and it builds that therapeutic relationship even more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So would you say it's best to aim a little bit lower initially, rather than kind of risk going to like the level of 3 or 4 and having some kind of problems with that?
Yeah. So that's why you've got to try and gauge the right level.
Yeah.
But then part of graded exposure is, as you're exposed to the stimulus, whether it's thoughts, actions, whatever it is that you're exposed to, there's a desensitization that can happen, which is really good. So if we just use a spider as an example, the more you introduce to the spiders, the less of a reaction you get.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing we need to remember is a lot of times it's trauma that we're working with. And so it's not just the same as working with spiders. It's very similar, but sometimes you can get stuck by thinking that if we do the gradual approach, we keep desensitizing, then it's going to work. So the key thing, and this is like throughout all behaviorism, cognitive behavior therapy, is that there needs to be a review of the beliefs afterwards. So once someone feels the anxiety, they do the exposure work, the anxiety will drop, but as it drops, that's where they learn something new. So before, they would feel the anxiety, then they'd run away or avoid the task. So once they stay, then they're not able to do the same thing as they usually do, which is run away. They learn something new. So they learn something new about the fear, about their ability to cope and handle it. And so that's where the main learning happens, and that's where they modify beliefs, and then they can adapt and move forward.
Yeah, makes sense.
So when working with OCD, it often gets called exposure response prevention. So you're exposed to it and you can't do your normal response, so it prevents you from doing the response, and that's where you learn something new. To recap then, because there's a lot of neuroscience behind all of this, the limbic system gets activated and learns what threats are in the initial trauma or whatever it is, the phobia, the fear. So as soon as it learns what the threats are, then when you do this whole process, it gets to unlearn what that threat is and learn that it's no longer a threat.
Yeah.
And so then that means the person learns how to regulate the limbic system, how to calm, how to have coping strategies, and it gives them a greater distress tolerance. So before, they would quickly avoid and run away, and they just wanted it to go away as quick as possible. Whereas now they know they can cope with it, they can tolerate that distress because the outcome is going to be better in the long run.
Yeah.
And then the key part, like I said before, they'll form new beliefs. And so as they form new beliefs, then that's what really transforms it and makes them make so much progress.
Yeah. So when you're kind of like reviewing the new kind of approach to whatever the fear or phobia is, it's kind of like, I'm wondering if, because you're kind of recalling it a lot internally in your memory or with, the therapist or whoever you're working with, even though you're not kind of being re-exposed to the same situation like in person, but recalling it, does that help as well? Because you kind of, although it's the same recall that you're having, you're kind of going over the same patterns and how it worked and how you felt and kind of all the positive aspects. So even going over it kind of in reflection can that have like a huge impact as well as just kind of repeated exposure to different stimulus like in the physical world as well?
Yeah. So that's where, so when you look at like the 0 to 10, 10 might be in the real world, but like from sort of 1, 2, 3, 4 could be talking about it. So if we just use spiders, first it could just be talking about spiders, then the next level could be looking at a picture, next level could be looking at a video. Just even recalling it all could be the first like 0.1, 0.2.
Yeah.
But with trauma though, it depends on how complex the trauma is, because talking about it can then re-trigger all of the experiences and memories.
Yeah.
And so that one you need to go a lot more slowly, more carefully, and you need to learn to put the brakes on first. So you need some coping strategies first. So you'll work with a lot of physical sensations around kind of being present in the moment. So a lot of mindfulness techniques and grounding. So once you do that, then you can start to work on the graded side.
Yeah.